Hello and welcome
Go
to
back to
Design
one.
Chat, the best live design discussion on the internet. I'm your host, Ryan McGovern. On Twitter, I'm at Hoopajube and at DesignChat. Yes, we're recording. We record this every week because we love the design community. We bring some of the coolest people from the design community to you guys in a live video broadcast so you can ask questions and you can even get on video and ask questions. And here's why today is awesome. Today is awesome because we broadcast on the awesome platform. Can I say awesome enough? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Vokle, Vokle, Vokle.com. On Twitter, they're at Vokle. And we are talking to the man, Mr. Robert Kiraz, founder and CEO of Vokle, who we believe is going to be a huge success. Golf clap. Thank you, Robert, so much for coming tonight. I know we got a little bit of a lag, so we'll deal with that, but thank you
Hey,
for coming.
thank you. hmm
It seems to have picked
No, no,
up good.
thank you for having me. And yeah, the delay is probably on my end. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. We can work around it. You should see some of the junk that we had to deal with on some other platforms. So this is like riding in a Cadillac compared to other situations that we've been in. And frankly, even like if you pay attention to some of the other online live experiences that are going on right now, dude, you have the Cadillac of interfaces. You have the prime
Mm.
setup, and all you are going to blow up. This Vokle, I swear, I've been telling you, I've been telling everybody I can tell that I really believe this platform is the future of live video broadcasting. And with the advent of web TV coming soon, you guys have you're going to grow by leaps and bounds, and it's going to be absolutely ridiculous very, very soon, in my humble opinion.
Oh, oh, thank you. That's a cool little testimonial to put on the site, if you don't mind. It'll be right there at the bottom of the page.
Please do.
But no, that's really nice to hear. Yeah, no, yeah, no, we've been working on the platform since 2008 officially, and we launched about 6 months ago. So it's still sort of in that early beta stage, but it's kind of we're fine tuning it, making it better every day. And thank you for having us here. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have or the audience might have. I'm sure there's probably plenty of questions. It should be fun.
Totally. And we do take questions. We take them throughout the whole chat. Usually, we start off, Robert, with a little bit of history from you, sort of where you came from, how you came up. I remember reading some bio about you do have a creative background. You have sort of a design and video sort of background. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and your motivations for doing what it is that you do?
Sure. So basically, uh, I'm not the typical startup founder. I didn't really, and, I don't even know what typical really is. But I didn't go to I mean, I'm sorry, I went to film school. I didn't go to business school. I sort of come more from an artistic or creative background, not so much a pure business background. Although I'm very intrigued with strategies and the business side of it, and especially the marketing side. But I consider myself more sort of creatively driven and finding sort of artistry in anything I do, whether it's sort of the mock-ups that lead to the designs that lead to the product, or whether it's sort of creative marketing and things like that. So I'm a little bit different than most people would imagine a CEO would be.
And that's really what I feel this environment sort of calls for in a time where we are in one of the worst economic downturns. Those who are going to be successful are those who are going to find new ways of doing things. And I think we're going to see a pattern in the next still 5 years or so while we're getting out of this sort of recession that a lot of creative types are going to become successful because they have different patterns of thinking. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the sort of state of the union, where you guys are right now, and sort of where you want to be and things you might be working on.
Right. So basically, where we are now is, well, like I mentioned, we launched the site about 6 months ago. We've been getting a lot of great feedback, and we've been starting to um, unveil some new features, like sort of incrementally. We have a new front page, and we're going to be entering a pretty fast development cycle soon, which means new features will be implemented on a much more rapid basis. Um, where we are now is, well, let me go back a little bit. I mean, we raised a little bit of funding a few months ago, and we're looking to raise a significant round before the end of the year, and that's just going to give us sort of the capital we need to take it to that next level. I mean, I mean, everything you see now is done sort of in that kind of recession era thrift, and that's just the way people have to operate these days. But we're going to be looking to raise some additional funding and expand the platform in the next 6 months. Um, so that's sort of where we are now, and our ultimate goal. I should probably start by telling you a little bit about the core ideology for what we do. Again, this
Mhm.
might differ from a lot of other live streaming sites to have an actual belief in anything or core ideologies that matter. Um, and maybe that comes from sort of my creative background, but you know, our goal with Vokle is to do something kind of altruistic. It's to humanize the internet, and that's I know that's a bold thing to try to go and do, but if you think about it, the most personal sort of interactions you have are, well, first off, it's your real life interactions where you can talk to somebody and you're right there. And the next best thing is live video. And it's got to be live. It can't be archived. There can't be that staggered communication over days and weeks. It's got to be live. It's personal. You can roll off each other and uh, and connect to people, connect to the audience, connect to the co-hosts. So for us, we see live video as that next sort of frontier in making the internet a lot more personal, and as a result, the world a smaller place. I'll just say this one thing. If you're doing a broadcast on Vokle, you can take questions from the audience, like video questions. And this didn't hit me until later on. I was doing a community event, and I took a question from somebody in Oregon. Like, oh, that's cool. You're in Oregon. Okay, is there anything going on in Oregon? Probably not, but it's cool. Thanks for calling in. I took another video call, and that person was in Canada, and that was cool. I'm like, oh, you're in Canada. That's interesting. I took another call. Oh, I'm from London. Oh, another call. Oh, I'm calling in from New Zealand. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. That guy in Oregon, and I'm in California, so that guy in Oregon is no further away from me than the guy in New Zealand. And it just sort of hit me that, whoa, the world is really, what technology is enabling is making this world a much smaller, more cohesive, personal place. And if we can keep communicating and opening up a dialogue with people across the world, I think that's going to be essential to our evolution as a society, as a collective. So that's sort of our approach to or philosophy behind. Um,
Getting deep on a Wednesday night, man. I like it. I
getting
mean,
deep.
I'm really on board with it. I mean, I had those same sort of epiphany moments, and it was similar to the one that I had when I first made my connections on Twitter, where I replied to some designer who was a very esteemed in an esteemed position and achieved a lot, and I got an instant reply, and the light bulb goes off. Oh my God, I can connect with people that I've dreamed about talking to all the time. And I tell this to my guests because, from my background, I'm an art director, I'm a designer from outside of Chicago. I've done some traveling, but not really for my profession, that sort of thing. And I don't go to a lot of design conferences. I've just started recently with a Cusp Conference that Samata Mason puts on. Looking them up at Cusp Conference on Twitter. They're awesome. And little plug. And and so I tell my guests this. I say, had I seen you at a conference, had I bumped into you on the street, I would have had a very awkward interaction with you. I would have come up to you and tell you how much I love you, and you would have taken a step back and said, "Who is this weirdo?" And that probably would have been the end of it. And but now, because of this platform, because of things like this, I get to talk to you guys every week. I get to talk to some of the most amazing people in the design world, and I think that same that same sort of motivation, that same sort of excitement can happen for the audience members of shows like this. Because guess what? Like you just said, they can jump on video and ask questions and be face to face with some of their heroes in design, people we aspire to be like, people who have crazy talent. There's a lot of talent, and that's my belief. Sorry, I'm going on a long ramble here, but that's my belief in this show also, is that not only are there huge stars in design who are already getting a lot of exposure due to contests and posters and stuff they get, put in a print magazine or a How magazine or whatever. There is a lot of undiscovered talent in this country that does not get exposed. And there are venues like this which will bring those people to the larger community. And it's a very exciting thing for me. And I think it's a very exciting thing for the design community as a whole, which makes me believe so much in your platform and what you're doing.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, one thing I have noticed is that it sort of takes the edge off the divide between the public speaker and the fans. It sort of takes the fanatic out of the word fan, and because what ends up happening is if you're a celebrity or you're a public speaker or kind of a guru in any circles and you're communicating, you're communicating on a personal level with the audience, and the audience member could come in and talk to you, like right, literally the box right next to your box, and you're having a conversation, a real-time conversation. There's no sort of weirdness about it at all. It's just we're all kind of coming in here to share. Um, it's like I don't know, that level of personal interaction is not something we're necessarily used to, but it's important to kind of humanize each other. That's one of the nice things about the platform and any live streaming, not just us, but anyone that kind of continues doing this sort of thing. I think it's going to have a real kind of, I don't know, it's basically going to provide a soul to every individual that calls. That's why this is, by the way, a gigantic plug for people in the text chat to call in. You should call in, show us your soul. But anyway.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. And I think we're going to go through a learning curve with that. I think we still are. I think we're still very low in
It's
that
early.
curve right now where some people, the early adapters, are jumping in and they're getting on camera and they're doing their own shows just like I am. But there are a lot of people who are going to have a period of adjustment where, the thought of getting on camera, it's okay with them, but they're not really doing it yet. And before they have their first, second, third, and fourth experiences, they're going to sort of need to adjust on the inside that they're okay with being seen in this sort of format, and most likely from intimate sort of environments, broadcasting, showing people the inside of their house, like their couch, like they're sitting at home, and that's like nobody gets to see that. It's just them and their close family members. But opening that up to the entire world could be sort of a scary thing. And I think we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years a very sort of slow growth curve of, because we're dealing with so many issues right now about privacy on the web and our digital lives, what we choose to expose and what we keep to ourselves. And for the community as a whole, and especially the design community, sometimes those things are guarded. We don't want to, we have the things that we cherish and that we think are good. But if we open that up to the entire community, it's then also open to be judged. If we're sharing our work and sort of, and a lot of people really hold that close to their hearts, and they think if someone critiques their work, they're judging that person also. And it's sort of a hard line to cross. And it's going to be very fun to watch this sort of elevate in the design community.
Oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, actually, it's somebody was asking me. It's like, why is Vokle the only service that's sort of kind of putting the pieces together in the way that we are, and does it make sense, and is it going to take off? I think it will. I'm with you on that, Ryan. I don't think that I think Vokle is a result of its time. Vokle would not have made sense before Twitter, or would have probably not made sense before Facebook. Web conferencing has been
Mm-hmm.
around for a long time. It's been used for business purposes and things like that. But the fact that we're kind of bringing web conferencing and sort of saying it's not web conferencing, it's not a virtual boardroom anymore. spelled Bored. No, it's more of an actual town hall platform, and you can actually reach out to a community. I mean, the idea that you'd be building your own community, 10 years ago was, I mean, that total totally odd, odd behavior. But now it's everybody has an audience, and the audience wants to be a part of it. They don't want to just be talked to. They want to feel involved, and we want to all kind of come together and have that sort of dialogue. So it's just sort of a product of its time. If you look at the trends, it's not going to stop. People are opening up more and more and more. It's not going to go back to the way it used to be. It's going to continue expanding in this direction, which means, yeah, in like 10 years, people are going to be extremely comfortable broadcasting their faces. I mean, you look at the iPhone with FaceTime. You look at televisions now coming with Skype built in, so you can actually video chat with each other right off your couch. I mean, it's going to be pretty transformative, actually, in the next 10 years. I would love to just get in a time machine, zip forward, and see what would happen.
Man, Robert, I think we are in a time machine. I think we're witnessing an experience right now that is going to define the next 20 years in digital technology. Much like the television, changed the living room, that sort of thing. I really think it's going to be that transformative. And I feel sort
I hope
of
so.
blessed to be part of this, startup sort of environment. It's a very exciting time. When I started DesignChat, and for the last year, I've been telling people that I don't know what the F I'm doing. And that's a good thing, right? Because everybody says that's a good thing because you're sort of burning your own path. You're sort of deciding how your story goes as you go along, which is a lot of fun and scary and exciting all at the same time. But I think you guys are in a similar position. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the team that you're building and the sort of choices that you've made there and who you're surrounding yourself with at your office there on the West Coast?
Okay. So the team that we're building, I mean, we're a very small team. We're about a team of, I mean, you can count us with two hands. There's, and actually, no, you're gonna need three. You're gonna need three hands now, actually. But basically,
Two hands and a foot.
yeah, exactly. Basically, we have a small engineering team, we have a small marketing team, and we're just sort of fine tuning the platform. And I personally come from a background where I would hate to imagine 100 people working for the company, because at some point it sort of dilutes. But inevitably it might end up happening. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sort of enjoying the small team atmosphere, and I'm enjoying getting to know everybody on the team really well. We actually just brought
Mm-hmm.
aboard a Ruby developer. He's a Ruby guru. His name's Aaron Eisenberger. He might be in the chat. Wait, is that Aaron
If you could get
Engineer?
any of
Okay,
your team to
I
jump
think our
on camera,
CTO is in
that'd
the
be pretty
audience.
awesome, I think.
I don't know. Let's see. It's up to Aaron there. Um, but yeah, our CTO's in there, and then we have some people in the back. Shant, you want to say hello? You want to,
Sean's got no. Tell Sean he's got to come on camera and at least wave.
okay, at least wave.
Come out of the shadows, Sean.
Hello.
Who are you? Tell everybody who you are.
Who are you?
I'm Shant, and I work here at Vokle.com.
What do you do?
I do a lot of the marketing stuff, bringing some people like Imogen He, Paulo Coelho to the website. I also do some community stuff, tweets, Facebook, things like that.
Okay. Well, there you go. And yeah,
Ryan knows me already. What's up, Ryan? I can't hear you at all.
What's up, Sean?
I know you're
What's
saying
up, Sean?
something.
Sean
he
and
says
I
what?
have had many
He
a
says what's up.
conversation about
Hey, what's up?
we've had many a conversation about sort of where the group is going and just me just pouring love on your group completely and just sort of drooling over you guys because it was a big win to sort of partner up with you guys because it provided such a stable and slick environment. Of course, the creatives are going to be attracted to you guys because you have the prettiest interface out of any of the video chatting systems right now.
Score. All right. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, actually, I designed all the interface and a lot of the conceptual. Every major feature that you kind of interact with kind of went through a process, and usually it began with some random idea I had, and I mocked up everything, and design-wise, it's pretty close to what the mock-ups were. I'm glad you guys like it.
Totally. And just a
Go away,
thought here,
Felton.
while you got the ears and minds of the creative community here, you've already had sort of built a relationship with some creative types, and you had a video, you had a motion piece put together to sort of introduce what Vokle is. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that collaboration?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, and again, it's just another odd thing that most CEO types wouldn't do, but because I come from a creative background, it's to me it just had to be done. It's basically we made a history of communication video. And I mean, we had this random idea of showing sort of the connection between the evolution of communication, the evolution of our society, um, and how they're both sort of like deeply linked. Every time there's a major move forward with some communications technology, it dramatically changes this civilization at the time. So we created sort of this history of communication video, and we thought, well, you know what? Let's animate it, and let's make it like Fantasia 2000, and let's do it for like under $1,000. So we basically, which is completely irrational, but that's like that's like the startup thing is completely irrational about doing it. Otherwise, you wouldn't even make the company. So the idea here is let's do that. So we found an animator over there at UCLA, the best animator they had. I sat down with him, we talked. He loved the idea. I showed him some inspiration art, totally up his alley, and we created the video. I would love. Actually, I might be able to show you guys the video. I may not be able to play the sound, but if you guys are okay, I can pull it up here in the broadcast area.
Go ahead and do that. That'll be awesome. And in the meantime, I'll make a couple announcements here. So we are broadcasting live from West Dundee, Illinois. We're at an agency called Samana Mason. They're at samanamason.com. Check them out. They put on the Cusp Conference every year, cuspconference.com. It's coming up in September. It's an awesome design conference. It sort of encompasses a wider variety of design disciplines and things even outside of design, and they bring that to the design community. It happens in Chicago at the Museum of Contemporary Art in September. Please look them up. Very cool experience. I did it for the first time last year. We did a live chat, and they invited me to come back again this year. So we're going to be live broadcasting from September. So please check into that. And Robert, if you're ready to go ahead and in that video.
So there you go.
Very inspiring. Like that. It gives me sort of the goosebumps I get during the beginning of one of the TED conference videos or something like that, where you start to understand that there is knowledge spread across this planet that you now have the ability to tap into. It's a very exciting time, and I think that video communicates that idea in a beautiful way. So congratulations on getting
Awesome.
that accomplished and working with that that creative to make that happen. We should give a shout out to
Yeah.
the guy who worked on that.
Yeah, his name is Erick Oh. And he works at Pixar now, I believe. I met him when he was a UCLA
That's awesome.
master's student. Now he works at Pixar. Yeah, it's ericko.com. Here, I'll just type it. Ericko. ERICKO.com. And if you look at some of his other
Nice.
animated films, they're just astounding. So,
Very inspiring. Very
and
cool to be a part of that. I think we're going to go ahead and start taking some of the questions. The first question tonight comes who wants to know, Robert, how did you go from film school to Tech Whiz? Do you miss it, and will you go back?
uh, yes, I do miss it, and yes, I would like to go back at some point. I feel like it doesn't. To me, mediums don't matter that much. Mediums can be put on hold. Medium being film is a medium, a painting is a medium, a radio broadcast, a video broadcast, startup. All these things are just sort of uh, just choices that we make and industries that we work in. What really that's almost irrelevant. What matters to me is the core ideology, the purpose, and what is the kind of the meaning of why I do what I do. And for me, all of my films were about essentially the same thing that Vokle is about. It's about kind of democratizing information, knowledge, sort of my USC films, because I went to USC Film School, were a little bit more aggressive, more sort of kind of fighting back against propaganda, media control, things like that. So they were sort of experimental. They were pretty good actually. But uh, but essentially, it's I'm still making films. It's just instead of a film, it's a startup. It's the root purpose is still there intact. It doesn't matter if it's a film or startup or anything. I can go become a painter tomorrow and still kind of do what I do. And that's what keeps me going on is kind of the purpose has to be there. I do miss film as a medium. It's an incredible medium to create art, but uh, but film's going to be around in 5, 10 years. So hopefully I'll be around.
And you are still sort of fighting against, the larger broadcasting sort of corporations, where the power is to the people, like it was just said in the chat room, that anyone can broadcast, and if people like what they're hearing, more people will tune in, and it's not just a one-way conversation anymore. There is a trade of information and ideas, and it's open and it's free and it's awesome. And if you're not doing it, you're lame.
Yeah, totally. It's basically CNN for the people, right? People coming in live via satellite. Well, now it's live via internet. Um, so actually, one of the cool things that we're going to be doing is forming a presence with the press. We work very closely with the Huffington Post, and we're going to be kind of hopefully transitioning and doing some pretty exciting things with them in the near future. And all I will say is world press room, 3 words. And if we're talking about democratizing that and finding some breaking news and individuals who know how to talk about breaking news, this is a platform that they could essentially use, and this is their CNN, and it's the people CNN. So that's one of the cool things that we're going to be doing. So it's still the purpose is intact. That filmmaking purpose and what my movies would have been about. It's still happening in startup form.
So very inspiring. We need to take some video questions, guys. Please submit those questions. Fabio, I know you're still in the room. Submit a video question. Let's get some inspiring sort of faces on the chat room tonight, as if ours weren't enough. Just kidding. But no, seriously, do that. Um, some other announcements I should make real quick. I am still crazy. I know I say this every week. I'm crazy backlogged on video, editing the video podcast version of this. I swear I'm going to get better at this and catch up to where we need to be. But we're booking some guests right now. Some very exciting things happening. So please stay tuned. Actually, I can jump into my guest list real quick and tell you that next week we are going to be speaking to. Her name is Kate Bingaman, And on Twitter, she's at Kate Consumption. She's written a book called Obsessive Consumption, and she's got a blog called Obsessive Consumption. She also teaches on the West Coast at some design courses, and she's doing a really. She was mentioned on this program some weeks ago by Feltron at Feltron, uh, who had broadcast live to her classroom. She's bringing in designers via the web video format to talk to her students, which I think is absolutely amazing. After the week after that, we're talking to Steve Hartman. He's at Createville on Twitter, and he's also a judge for the Archive 10 for the STA, which is happening I think the deadline is like in 9 days from now to submit artwork to the STA, sta-archive.com. Check them out. And the week after that, it's tentative, but we might have Erik Spiekermann. He is a typographer over from East Europe, and he designed Meta typeface, and he designed Officina, and he was featured in the movie Helvetica. Look him up, Erik Spiekermann. He's awesome. So very cool guests coming up, and of course, September 22nd, we're going to be at Cusp. So very exciting times for us, the Design Chat community, and we're starting to blog a little bit more. Please check out a blog. We're going to have more sort of spots there on the front page, and we're going to bring video to the front page. I've got so many things. I could talk for like 3 hours about myself, but I won't do that. Let's get back to you, and let's get back to Vokle. And let's talk about this is a question I bring up once in a while, Robert. What is currently on your visual radar? Other than, of course, your projects and things that we've talked about already, what are things that are happening maybe in the digital space or even the analog space that are catching your eye right now?
In the digital space, HTML5 is looking sort of interesting. Let me see. In the sense of with its effect on design, honestly, it's I don't know. Design-wise, nothing really online is really kind of grabbing my attention too much. Honestly, some of the best design inspiration I get is from things that like just old school things like magazine clippings and just stationaries. When you go to a nice hotel and you have a stationery supply there, and the typography is just perfect, and the quality of the paper and just the color choices. So honestly, it's just from a purely design point of view, I don't see a ton happening in the web space, at least in terms of some of the social media sites and things that I go to, that is that amazing or incredible. But it seems to be getting better, because I think with HTML5 you can do some really interesting things with fonts, and start bringing maybe more of that magazine look to websites, and have kind of greater compatibility with more diverse fonts. So that's pretty interesting. Also, in terms of sort of the transitions and animations you can do in HTML5, I think you can start seeing more dynamic web pages begin to emerge. Initially it's going to be HTML5 trying to replicate Flash and all the things that we've been able to do for a while. But then, beyond that, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I gave you a good
Robert,
answer or
really
not.
quick. No, you totally did. For those creatives and designers that are out there right now who are hearing this come up over and over again, HTML5 versus Flash, for those of us who might not have any programming experience at all, and we're just visual at Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign kind of people, why don't you if you can sort of break down the technical barrier of what it's going to take for people like us to work with that sort of tool, because we're hearing so much that it's going to take over, that it's going to be this amazing thing. Everything's going to be great, and Flash won't crash on us anymore. So maybe try to break that barrier down a little bit, and what it really means, to the creative types.
Well, from a technical point of view, I may not be the most qualified, because I don't do the engineering here at Vokle. I do all the design stuff, so I'm more of a creative. So I'm sort of more like you. I actually have more questions than answers at this point. But all I know,
Damn, I thought we'd get it solved tonight.
No, I don't think anyone really knows where it's going to go. But It's essentially going to let you do things like that you could do in Flash now. And as far as going beyond that, it comes down to how creatively people use it, just like it comes down to how creative people use Flash.
Hmm.
You know, and I'm not quite sure what it necessarily means. I don't think it's necessarily anything to totally worry about for another six months or so, because it's still very beta. Um, but websites will be more flashy. They won't be Flash though. They'll be flashy.
Well, maybe that's something we should focus on in creating another show here is getting someone on who can bridge the gap and explain it to so many people who are dying, to, like myself, who are doing this in a way that will let us kind of know how we might actually work with it. You know, I've been saying this,
Well,
you know, for the last 6 months already that it's okay, it's going to have all these capabilities, but the group, the entity, like the Adobe or whoever comes up first who creates the tool to use this tool is the big winner, right? Because everyone's going to flock to them, and especially if it's easy to use.
right. I was about to say actually, our CTO is in the room, who's much more qualified to talk about what HTML5 means for designers. Aaron, if you can say something here in the text chat or call in via video or maybe even submit a text question with the bullet points, that might be helpful.
What's his screen name? I can
Do
make him a
something.
co-host real quick.
Well, I don't know if he may or may not be ready to be co-hosted, but you should probably ask Aaron first if he wants to be co-hosted. Put on some pants.
It's Aaron Engineer. Is that? Sorry,
Uh,
guys. Maybe next week. He
It,
could just walk over to your desk. Come on, I'm
and well,
dying.
he's
I'm
not here
dying
now.
here. I want to know.
Well, Aaron, why don't you just submit a text question with the bullet points, and we can pull it up here.
He's not there. Oh.
Yeah, he's not in the office. He's at home. That's why I want to make sure
All right,
he's
Aaron. Well, how about this?
ready.
Let's make a deal. Let's sometime in the near future sort of collaborate on how we can bring that story to the design community because I think it's a big story. I think a lot of people are dying to hear what that really means for us and how what it's going to mean for our future. So I think we should work on that. Totally.
Yep, good idea.
Cool. I'm seeing another text question here in the audience. Another one from M. Thomas. M. Thomas, I love you. You're awesome. Uh, Sean said step 3 for Vokle was going to be amazing. What's in store and when will he have a peak? I think we might have covered this a little bit, but go ahead and see if you can not cryptically answer that question.
Let me see. Amazing. There's nothing I could say that's gonna like amazing. Let me see. The next 6 months are gonna basically see a really amazing recording playback machine. Actually, kind of the first of its kind. It's not just going to record broadcasts and play them back. That's the obvious, right? We like to go a little bit beyond the obvious and try different things. And so, what we're going to have is a way to actually. So here's the inside scoop. You're going to basically have timestamps where every question is asked. So right now, M, we took your text question, right? So if this were recorded, we put in a timestamp and say, at this moment, we took a question from M. Well, when you play back the event, you're going to have markers, almost like DVD chapters, for each question that you take, right? So that way you can have like basically a chapter menu of all the questions. You can just click on the chapter that you want to go to, and you can skip right to that answer. So it's sort of a question-answer type thing. Or you can embed individual questions directly. So like if there's a really interesting thing that happens, you know, an hour into the broadcast, you can just embed that one question, and it starts from there. You can also tweet out that one question or share it on Facebook and things like that. So it's going to have basically a DVD-like chapter menu that you can flip through and share. So I think that's pretty exciting. For me, it's I've never really seen that done. So that's pretty exciting for me. And then beyond that, it's just the long-term goal is to allow people to tailor these broadcasts as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I can say. So I was cryptic. I'm so sorry. But it's going to be exciting. It'll be amazing.
That's okay. We forgive you. We'll get to see it in the near future because we're all going to be participating and using the system because it's rad. One more
Cool.
question, asked and approved by DesignChat Link asks. This is Andrew Tibbetts from Samana Mason. Look him up on Twitter. He's at Andrew Tibbetts. Speaking of HTML5, is there an HTML5 vocal solution on the horizon?
I think there's an HTML5 solution in the horizon for every Flash-based site at this point. So it doesn't matter if you're, TinyChat or Ustream or Vimeo or YouTube. HTML5 is in the horizon, so it's definitely something that people are talking about actively. For us, it doesn't make sense immediately because there are some really basic things that are not supported yet, supporting cameras, neck cams, and microphones, and there's still some issues there that are being sorted out. But HTML5, moving Vokle to HTML5, which will probably eventually happen, and that's not anything groundbreaking because that probably anybody will, from like competing services, will probably say the same thing. What it'll do is enable us to kind of do some exciting things visually, and then potentially have it on the iPad and the iPhone, which is the big draw for Flash-based sites right now in HTML5. So yes, it's in the horizon. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen, but it's in the horizon.
Cool, cool. I had a question in my head, Robert, and it has escaped out of my ears and plopped onto the table. It is now gone. So we're nearing the end of the chat. We've got at least 15 minutes more. That's what that sound was. You heard that. That's, yeah, very funny, Emma. And Thomas, you're a very funny girl. So, all right. Sunday had a question, and Sunday Unkit was trying to get on video. We'll see if we can get that figured out. I hope that works for you. Is so you're based on the West Coast. You're on the video sort of platform. You've got an office there. Is there sort of a chance at all that you would be doing any sort of collaborative environment, like hiring people from anywhere in the world to sort of be part of your team?
Yeah, totally. We're always open to working with great people. I mean, the first and foremost, the qualifier is, are you talented? The second, I want one of maybe the fourth or fifth thing down the road is where are you based out of? So yeah, always, especially graphic designers and creative sorts of people. If there's anyone in this room who wants to kind of share some design things, maybe work with us on the design of Vokle, I would love to do that because I'm not a designer by trade. I never studied it, and I'm just sort of kind of winging it, to be honest. And all I do is I study, like magazine clippings and other websites, and I sort of kind of get a feel for things. But if we have any formal designers in the room, doesn't matter where you're located. If you're talented, we'd love to talk to you.
Everybody in the chat room, throw up your Twitter links, throw up the links to your web pages and your portfolios. That's the whole point of coming in here and hanging out, is that everybody gets to know everybody, and we unite the design community 1 week at a time. So please share, overshare. Why would we have designers here? Geez, I don't know. It's DesignChat. Great, awesome, good, glad to see that. Keep on posting in there. That is awesome. So I was going to bring up, and I started to get into it a little earlier, where we talked about the collaboration that you had for your video already. That would be really awesome, and I would encourage designers in here, just like we were just talking about, you guys could do work with them. That more sort of collaboration with the design community would be a lot of fun to see with the Vokle platform, because all it would do was it would exercise the capabilities of the platform and show it off in different manners. So brainstorm, people. If you guys can think of any way that we can sort of come together as the design community to help support this platform and get the word out that it exists and how awesome it is. I can't use the word awesome enough. I sound stupid doing it, but I don't care. That's how much I love this platform. So
awesome,
guys, brainstorm. Just keep, post it anywhere. Post it with the hashtag DesignChat, and we will help. We will ride the wave, the Vokle wave, as it blows up. So Any sort of final thoughts, Robert?
Thank you.
I'm disappointed we didn't get any video questions, but that's okay. Well, guys, let you off the hook. Final thoughts on sort of what's going on and where you guys are and design in general.
Let me see. Well, where we are, I can tell you what we're looking to do design-wise is continue adding more and more of that, sort of take the essence of that video I played and bring more of that to the site, and also bring more of the kind of the message and the core ideology to the site, because I don't know if there's anyone in this room that probably could kind of pinpoint what the core ideology was until I said anything today. That should be, I think what we want to do is we want to wear our heart on our sleeves a little bit more. And if we can do that through design, through great copy, if you can help us, collaborate with us on making that happen, that is awesome. If you want to go to a website for design inspiration and kind of the direction we're going, just go to erico.com, and he has a section called Symphony. Here, I'll just drop the link here real quick. Actually, it's in his illustration section. Here, I'll drop it right here. Check this out. This is so cool. This is some of the sort of art. It's in the text chat there. This is some of the art that we want to bring to the platform. Just sort of this kind of graphic, abstract sort of thing, and maybe bringing different forms of communication into the site, like a telephone, but with this style of illustration. Maybe radio station and things like that. So we want to. You'll be seeing this stuff happen in the near term, bringing more of the kind of the culture, the ideology, and the visual panache to the site. And if you can help in any way, please let us know. That's the big announcement.
Robert,
and you can drop me a line at Robert at Vokle.
Idea. Awesome, Robert at Vokle. I have an idea that is in 2018. I think I'm predicting now it's going to happen in 2018. We will be able to video chat as our own favorite cartoon character. And what I'm talking about here, and stay with me for a second. Okay. So there are 3D technologies right now that can animate properties based on relative distance, right? So if there's a GUI sort of subject, you can actually click on it and move it, and objects will move based on this movement that you've been programmed to have. So the idea is you hop onto a video chat, and you've got points on you just like they use for the movie, right? And using cam twist, something that we're familiar with here, you pick your favorite character, and all of a sudden and maybe it even changes your voice too. But every time you move, you act, you are that live character, and you can be anything you want to be. And maybe the people who are too afraid right now to just jump on video and want to protect that can be somebody else and have a different personality online. So it's 2010 right now. I think in at least 8 years that live technology is going to exist. What do we think in the chat room? Pandora chat. We can believe Blue Monsters.
That
exactly.
Totally exists. That totally exists now. What do you? You can buy it.
That
for
exists now.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Basically, if you go to like Best Buy, you can get a neck cam that comes with software bundled, right? And it basically has 3D animated characters that you can choose, and it's motion censored, right? So it actually follows your body movements. And when you talk, its lips move, and when you blink, its eyes blink, and you can actually alter your voice as well. So
who is that character on Sesame Street who is always inventing things, but it already existed?
You're right.
This guy.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, idiot. Okay.
No, it's totally fun. You know what?
2018
Actually, people in the chat, you should totally get, honestly, that's actually a brilliant idea in terms of if you're a little camera shy, you can totally, it'll be completely ludicrous, though. it'll make the broadcast hilarious and silly, but
entertaining.
you should,
I'm all for it. Yeah.
That's cool. No, I'm a fan of that.
Cool, man. Well, on that note, be ridiculous, be entertaining, get on Vokle, participate in community. Robert, thank you again for coming out tonight. It was really a cool experience to hear the backstory of what's going on over there, man. We all believe in you, and we can't wait to just keep on using this. And by the way, when this is published, this will be episode number 60 of Design Chat. So I think it's fitting that we hit the sort of 1 year of episodes with Robert on here on Vokle. So thanks again for coming.
That's awesome.
And we appreciate you very much.
No, congratulations on episode 60. Glad to be here. Anytime. Anytime.
Cool, Robert. All right, we're going to sign out for tonight. Thank you, Design Chatters, for coming out. We're going to be here next week, same time, same bat channel, at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So check us out. Follow us on Twitter at DesignChat. And I am Ryan McGovern at Hoopajube, and Robert Kiraz at Vokle. Good night, everybody.